Hello, folks out there. This episode of the podcast is partnered by Audible. Greg, you know what I love about Audible?
What do you love about Audible,
I
John?
don't have to pick up a book anymore and carry it around with me. In fact, I carry it around in my phone, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. They literally keep thousands of titles right on your phone, accessible at any time when you're driving, when you're cooking, when you're mowing the lawn, changing a diaper, doesn't matter. It's all right there at your fingertips, John. They've got podcasts, they've got lectures, they've got some like health and wellness and like fitness series on there that if you just are looking for something to fill that gap, like you're not getting into a book right now, it's all there for you, man.
If you're a member, Greg, what's cool about it is you get 3 titles per month. The first one, you can pick whatever you want. Like I've said, I'll probably start hitting up some of those health and wellness books. And then what's awesome is they have 2 Audible exclusives. Exclusives, folks. You can't get it anywhere else.
It's true. That is very true. So if you guys want to get on the Audible train, you can go to audibletrial.com/JATG. That stands for Johnny and the Greg. Hook yourself up with a 30-day free trial. No promises, no nothing. If you don't like it, which I can't imagine you're not going to like it, you can cancel at any time. But the great thing about that is the books you get during your free trial, or if at any time, those books are yours. Like you get to keep them. You can listen to them nonstop, anytime, all the time.
Sounds like a deal to me, man. So if you guys are smart, like I know you guys are, because you already listened to this podcast, sign yourself up, guys. What do you got to lose? It's 30-day free trial, and it's books, it's knowledge. Gotta drink it up.
It is. It is. So one more time, it is audibletrial.com/JATG. Dramatic reenactment, the hiring of Wyatt Russell as Captain America. Hey Wyatt, how's it going?
Hey, you know what? I'm really excited. I'm just look, I got so much emotion right now. I am so excited to be the next Captain America. I mean, I've been watching these and some big shoes to fill, but I'm excited. I've been working out. I'm ready to go. I can't wait to put that shield in my hand. Yeah. So let's get going.
Yeah. So we just want to make sure that you're prepared for all of this. We love the working out. We love your attitude. It's very gung-ho America, which is what we want, and that's great. I just want to just prepare you. You see, some.
Oh, you don't have to prepare me. I've read all the comic books.
Yes,
I'm going to be the next Captain America, man.
and
I'm excited.
we love that. We do. But you just got to know that the Marvel fan base, the fan base, they're how do we say? They're a bit picky. And maybe a little flighty. And so just be aware that, I mean, you're not like Steve Rogers. I mean, so he's since retired, but this new take on Captain America could rub some people the wrong way.
What do you mean? Like rub people the wrong way? I'm the next Captain America. Like I'm going to be in the Avengers movies, and I'm going to.
We just feel like some of our test audience, we feel they might hate you. Just a thing, because it's not like it's their Captain America. Now we love you. Just know that we love what you're gonna bring to the table. It's just the Marvel, they can be picky. They can be picky. So just be prepared. Social media might say some things, mean things, because, but it's, that's the internet. That's just the internet. They just kind of like that. So just be.
Time out. So I'm going to be hated.
Maybe. Yes. Maybe.
And,
maybe. No. Yes.
And seen.
There you go.
Welcome to Johnny and the Greg, folks. So that's, I think, Greg, when I watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier with you one episode,
Yeah.
we had this talk where we thought, do you think he knew? Do you think Mr. Wyatt Russell knew he wasn't going to be liked? And we just kind of think that's how the conversation went.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, at the point of it, you're like, as a comic nerd, I mean, and knowing his character, the U.S. agent character, and everything else, you're like, well, people aren't going to like him. And
No,
I mean,
no. I think he went in there excited to be the next Captain America, wondering how Marvel was going to take it. But I think if he did any type of research, he realized that John Walker rubs people the wrong way.
And I mean, I'm looking on IMDb here because I usually try to have it up when we're recording. And I mean, even one of their top stories is Wyatt Russell defending his role as Captain America.
And that's what I kind of wanted to get with. So go ahead, finish what you were saying there. That's what I wanted to talk about.
I just saw it come across the screen. I haven't watched it, but it's a 4-minute video of him like defending his take on Captain America.
Okay.
And somebody must have told him. I mean, somebody must have said, okay, we're going to prepare you for this.
Yeah. Guys, listen, if you don't like John Walker, then Wyatt's doing his job. All right. Somebody has to play an asshole. Somebody has to play the jerk. Marvel's getting into this era where Loki's being liked. There was an hour-long release, the Zemo cut, where he's dancing.
Oh,
did you see that?
Yeah.
Marvel released that. I mean, people are starting to love Zemo. They've already loved Loki. Thanos was considered a really cool bad guy. And poor Wyatt. So here's the thing, guys. Wyatt got hate mail. He's getting genuine hate mail. And for the guys or the ladies or whoever you Marvel guys are that are this upset at Wyatt for trying to be Steve Rogers, he's not. He's being John Walker. And he's doing a good job because you don't like him. But don't hate the actor. Hate the character.
Well, and I look at it. I'm like, do you think Marvel didn't have a plan? I mean, the way they're writing him and the way it's in line with the character. Yeah. And like they knew that people were just going to hate Wyatt Russell for this. So you take a look at it, you're like, man, I mean, it's gonna, I hope it pans out for him and gets some more roles and he gets maybe, I mean,
redemption kind of maybe.
Well, and U.S. Agent in general, it can be a cool character. I mean, I've read a couple things with him and I'm like, oh, that's pretty, he is a super soldier. He is highly trained. He becomes almost like Black Ops Captain America.
Yeah.
In certain takes.
He does the stuff that basically Steve, I don't know if Steve would or would. Well, he definitely wouldn't have crushed that dude.
Right. Well, and that's
spoiler scene for episode 4, I believe it is. Like he kills somebody.
Yeah.
Sorry. But it's not that Steve wouldn't kill somebody, but
his moral compass takes over. I mean, even just like the scene in Winter Soldier, the opening scene where he's taking out that ship.
Yes.
And going after Batroc. If he would have known like the entire mission, what that was, he'd have a moral issue with it.
Yeah.
And John Walker doesn't have that issue.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So the reason we started this whole thing, folks, is I think it's ridiculous when an actor gets death threats. I mean, come on. The guy is just trying to earn a paycheck. He got into Marvel.
Right.
I really don't think him getting into Marvel, I really don't think that he expected this type of disgust and hate for him.
Yeah.
I really don't.
It's interesting. I mean, people talk about toxic fandom, and I actually heard somebody talk about it the other day. They're like, stop calling it fandom because it's not. I mean, is it toxic? Yeah, but these people, like, you shouldn't even call them fans because
that's true.
I mean, in the same way that a stalker would go after someone that they purportedly loved so much that they need to, wear their skin or something like that. That's not a fan. That's psychotic.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. So the Greg had a birthday last week for all of
I did.
those people that decided to send out wishes to him. Thank you for that. How was it? Where'd you go? I heard you
Good.
got like high class. You went to a high class
I
restaurant.
did. There's a place in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, which is around my stopping grounds. It's called Coco's.
Okay.
Coco Steakhouse. It's casually fine dining. I saw people wearing full-on suits and evening gowns, and I saw a dude walking in sweats, a hoodie, and a Packer hat, and it was, and I was not that guy. We were in between, um, but it was. I don't know if it was the most expensive meal I've ever had.
Hang
But
on 1 second. 1 second. I don't. When you said that one guy that came in sweatpants and a hoodie
yeah,
and a Packer hat, my first thought in my head was that's so Wisconsin, and then that drew me to. Do you remember The Incredibles 2, where she's being introduced to other superheroes?
yeah,
Elastigirl is,
yeah,
and she meets Brick, and she goes,
right,
"Where are you from?" He goes, "Wisconsin."
yeah,
And I thought to
yeah,
myself,
little
do
bit.
you take that as like a, "Hey, man,"
I
like,
did at the time, yeah.
yeah, that me too. When I went, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, it's like,
I
come on,
didn't
we're
like.
not a
What did you mean by that? Like, what is that supposed to mean?
we have doctors and lawyers and everything else. But honestly, I get the same way anybody picks on the South. I mean, if people pick on the South for, them being idiots or something like that. I'm like, no, they have plenty of smart people in the South, and though some of those smart people talk with really Southern drawls, and it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Not to take away from your steakhouse because I do want to hear about this because I've never heard of this meat that you've had. But
Mhm.
I was watching. It's on Disney Plus. It's called Marvel 616,
Okay, yeah.
and
So,
I think it's like 8 episodes of like one of them's about the Japanese Spider-Man and how they had to kind of reconfigure Spider-Man to
the
make it
TV
fit.
show.
Yeah, to make it
Oh
fit into
gosh,
the
yeah.
Japanese world. It's really interesting. But the
Yeah.
second one I heard of, or the second one I watched, was like the women that went into Marvel, like as artists and writers and
Oh, okay.
editors. And one leading editor now who is basically Kamala Khan. That's Kamala Khan is based off of this girl's life.
Oh, all right.
Okay. It's a really you should watch it. I encourage you to watch it.
Yeah.
But what she said was when 9/11 hit, and I think she was like in high school, right? She was in
Hmm.
high school, American kid doing her thing. She just happened to be a Muslim. Some guy walked up to her and said, "Hey, can you tell your people to stop bombing our people?"
Oh my.
Right? Think about that. You're like a freshman in high school. You're like, "What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" Right? And so she says that's when I realized that there's a definite divide here in this world. Like
Hmm.
there's a definite misunderstanding. And it goes as simple as making now look, I'm not waving any type of flag saying, "Hey, we shouldn't pick on Wisconsin." Like I get it. I get it. Like it's a funny joke, but it starts at a funny little joke like that, and it
Yeah.
goes and it goes all the way to what this editor from Marvel like
Yeah.
had to deal with. And Kamala Khan is a big part of basically her growing up
Hmm.
with that type of people looking at other people and instantly judging. I mean, we're dealing with the Asian thing right now. Not
Hmm.
that I'm sorry, not that we're just dealing with it now. We've always dealt with it, but it's kind of
It's really coming to light. I mean,
yeah. So I'm sorry. So it's a tough transition to go from there, Greg. But let's get back to let's
okay.
get back to
Um,
that steak.
yeah, yeah. So we went to that steakhouse, and uh, it was phenomenal. I mean, like I said, it's probably um, I don't know if it's the most expensive meal I've ever had, but it's one of those things where I was looking at the menu, and I just started laughing a little bit, and people are like, what are you giggling about over there?" I'm like, I don't know. I mean, because everything's broken out, and I'm like, I'm about to pay $10 for a starter salad. I mean, just kind of like one of those. And I know for some people, they're like, $10 isn't that bad. I mean,
Well, no,
but it's all a matter of scale
oh
and
yeah,
where I'm
absolutely.
coming from.
Yeah, So if you don't mind me asking, how much was the steak? Just the
On
steak.
60.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what did you get?
I got it was and it's listed as it's by Snake River Farms, which because I do a lot of smoking and stuff like that, and I'm on some message boards. A lot of people talk about Snake River Farms as like, oh my gosh, they have
Their
the
meat?
best.
You mean their
Yeah,
meat?
the main, yeah,
Okay.
their meat products, yeah. And I got a Wagyu, a 10-ounce Wagyu from Snake River Farms, Wagyu steak, and
Wagyu beef, right?
Wagyu beef. Yep, and that's
Okay.
it's.
Okay,
I
hang on,
I
hang on. Was it
thought
American Wagyu or Japanese Wagyu?
it was American. Yeah, it
Okay.
wasn't Japanese. I knew that much. Yeah, Japanese Wagyu. If you get that, it's. I've heard of people that for just like a strip, like a 2-ounce strip, like they just cut it off and they do it on a hot plate of Japanese Wagyu. That was like $240 or something like that. That's what a guy told me. And I was like, what?
$240.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I don't know what I heard a comedian, I think it was Gabriel Iglesias, Fluffy, was talking about it one time about Wagyu beef and how it's massaged daily and fed like sake or something like that. I mean, I was like, really? That's what they do?
Wait a
But
minute, wait,
anyway,
wait. They massage the meat or they massage the cow?
the cow,
Oh, okay.
like the cow lives in a salon, like, and it's treated very well to just
Before
make
it's murdered.
yeah, before we eat it. But I mean, and I'll post a picture on our Instagram so people can see it. Because yeah, I was that guy. I'm like, I gotta take a picture of this because this is not an everyday occurrence.
Right.
It was the best steak I've ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Seasoned well and all that jazz.
Yeah. I mean,
Did you walk out
it
thinking to
had
yourself, that wasn't worth $60?
no, I didn't.
Well, there you go.
I
Okay.
thought it was worth every penny.
Good, good. I think everybody out there, if you're holding on to your pennies, I understand during this time, but when
Yeah.
you have those moments, you got to go experience them. You got to do it.
Yeah.
By the way,
we were there with two other couples,
Yeah.
some of our best friends, and it was just one of those nights that everything clicked. I mean, the cocktails were great, the food was great, and then we went out and there was some live music happening a couple venues down, and we listened to that. It was a great night.
Very cool. Okay, so guys, just so you guys know here, what is so special about Wagyu beef? Not only does Wagyu beef have higher levels of intramuscular fat or marbling, but
Mhm.
the meat texture is finer, resulting in more flavorsome eating experience. A super beef of sorts. Wagyu is known for its marbled appearance and for being so tender it actually melts in your mouth. Greg, did it actually melt in your mouth?
Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah, it did.
That's fantastic.
And I mean, I grew up in a house where Dad, bless his soul, he gets all steak well done, like charred, and to the point now. And I was that way for a while because when you grew up like that, you're like, oh, that's the correct way to eat steak. And then
Yeah.
when you find out it's not,
Yes, that's
then-
almost criminal.
oh, and Dad would honestly, Dad chars everything, chars his steak, and then covers it in ketchup. And I just thought that was what you did. And it's like, nope. So
You remember the first time you were introduced to A1 steak sauce?
yeah, I do.
And I remember the first time I asked for A1 steak sauce in a
Steakhouse.
I'm sorry, my dog's humping my pillow. Hey, I'm serious. That's like
Hey.
he's never pulled that shit before. I'm sorry, he's not. He's just using it as a pillow to lay on. Sorry, folks. I'm sorry,
Betting
folks.
down on it. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I just
The look on your face was great.
yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about?
You ordered ketchup or
A1
something in
steak
it.
sauce. Yeah,
Yeah.
I ordered steak sauce at a fine dining steakhouse, and I was told, like, kicked under the table by Ursula.
Oh,
She was
sure.
like, no. The meat should be good without this steak sauce. I'm like,
Yes.
really? She's like, yes, you don't need it. I'm like, are you sure? Because I grew up like you.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
you fry that thing, or you charcoal that thing on the grill,
Mhm.
because then you know it's done.
Yeah, and
You
there's
know.
no microbes in it, anything like
Yes,
that.
exactly, all that stuff. And damned if she's right, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, this Coco's has a signature steak sauce that they make in-house.
mhm.
And they had a list. You could get a lot of different sauces, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, she's asking me what kind of sauce do I want? I'm like, it's on the side, right? She's like, definitely, it's on the side. I'm like, okay, I will get it to try it. And I did. I ate probably half of my steak before I was like, okay, now I'm gonna try the steak sauce just to see. And it was phenomenal steak sauce. So
You know what
I drizzled it a little bit on my baked potato, and that was the
you know what the problem is with this now?
what?
Hey, how was the baked potato? Was the baked potato just a regular baked potato, or was
It
it
kind
like,
of
oh my
was. It was
God,
kind of
okay.
no. It was kind of just they. I mean, they cut it open and they scored it, stuffed it with cheese, baked it, and then they put like the
Yeah.
sour cream and the bacon on and stuff like that. And it was good, but it was the only thing that I had that night. And like the Caesar salad was phenomenal too, the starter. Um, I had a buddy of mine let me try his scallops. I've never had scallops before.
No?
Yeah, don't know if I do it again. I wasn't. They were kind of squishy in texture. I don't do squishy.
Yeah, they are. They're yeah.
But the
You do squishy.
no, I don't.
You're a
No,
fan of gummy bears. You do that.
no, it was squishier than that. But the what was I saying?
You were talking about the baked potato.
Oh yeah, it was the only thing that I'm like I could have made that at home. I mean, when you look at what
Okay.
they did, I mean, there wasn't anything super special about baked potato.
Okay. So here's my question. It's kind of like twofold. So don't answer both of them yet. Just remember both of them.
Mm-hmm.
First one, are you now going to try and create that at home? All right, that's question one.
Okay.
And number two, the problem with going and having a steak like that
Mhm.
is you will never have anything
Right.
better than that.
Yep. Creating that at home, I'm not gonna order my own Wagyu beef at any point. At least not.
How much do you think that would go for?
I don't know. I mean, you can look up Snake River Farms and
I'll
check.
do it. I'll do it.
So, I mean, I'm not. That's not. I won't do that right away. But I know people that do like their briskets and stuff like that, and they're like, I know one guy. I don't know him. He posted on the Meat Church Facebook page. He just bought a smoker. It was his very first brisket, and he got a Snake River Farms brisket for his first one ever.
Okay.
And everybody was like, "Ooh, you might want to go to Costco and like dial it, like get a couple of briskets and dial in your brisket game before you make a Snake River Farms."
All right.
So
So far the prices don't seem that out of
out of space.
a
Okay.
ribeye fillet, American Wagyu black grade ribeye fillet is $34.
Okay.
I don't know how many ounces that is though.
Did it say 10 ounce? Or
No.
no ounces
But-
not on there?
No, but it's not. All I'm saying is, it doesn't seem like it's really out of the realm of
Yeah.
buying.
Probably
know,
not.
I might have to order one of these, but here's the thing: you don't want to get that. Right? It comes to your house and you fuck it up.
Exactly.
You definitely don't want that.
I mean, I have no idea how they made it. I think there must have been a cast iron pan involved at some point because the crust on it was just
yeah, of course, yeah.
and it was just enough like, and I got mine
The flash
medium.
fry, probably.
I got mine medium rare.
Good man.
So it was a crust, and then on the very center, I would say that it was rare. I mean,
Good.
at the very center.
Yeah.
So that's what makes me think there was some cast iron involved.
So it probably was, for them, I'm guessing, and I don't know how this works, so I could be way off, but $25 to purchase that thing, or maybe $34, and then they paid, and then they upcharged it to prepare it. Because you gotta know what you're doing.
And talking about it now, I mean, the chef was very personal, walking around, talking to people. And he's one of these chefs, he comes out, he's got like forearm tattoos and stuff like that. I mean, he seemed like judging by his demeanor, and seemed like a cool guy. I should maybe ask if he wants to come on. We can talk restaurant-y kind of things.
You know what? I would love to
talk to a chef. And it was the same. I had gone to,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I had been there before because I hadn't, but the whole town like did an event back in February, one of these dead of winter, celebration kind of things, mostly outdoors. But a lot of the bars involved did a Bloody Mary tasting. And I signed up for that, and they had a Bloody Mary. So he's out front in like this table as you stand in line, and it was distance and everything else. But he had candied bacon, he had a jalapeno popper, and he had his Bloody Mary. And as you walked up, he's telling you everything he did to make this stuff like he's on a cooking show. And but he's, nothing discernible about him, what his look said chef at that point, because he's in like a winter jacket and a hat, like not a chef's hat, just like a stocking hat.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, dude, you sound like a chef. He's like, oh, I am. I'm the chef. I work here. And he's like, I'm the head chef here. I was like, oh, God. And to me, that's like a respected level position.
Absolutely.
So I was like, oh, chef, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. He's like, no, dude, we're cool.
But the one thing I would love to ask a chef is it really, because when I first moved down to Illinois, I got a job as a waiter. And for anybody I waited on them, I'm so sorry. I sucked and I did not care. And I'll be honest, I was intimidating because in the back there was yelling and it was getting shit done quickly. And I've always known that that's not my environment. Like I like to cook, but don't yell at me.
Yeah.
The whole like, hey, I need this steak now. Give me a time, 2 minutes. Nope, I need it now. Like, well, what do you want me to do? Throw on a piece of raw meat? I've never understood that world. But
just we talked about this, like the Gordon Ramsay Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
That
I know a lot of
that's environment. TV. A lot of that's TV, but when you talk to people that have trained in high-end kitchens, so they're like, it's not too far off the mark.
Yeah.
I mean, just getting absolutely chewed out daily because you want to work this one restaurant and learn. I don't know.
But I mean, when they say learning under fire, that's without a doubt. That's learning under fire. Speaking of Mr. Ramsay, I would like to try his famous dish.
What's his famous dish? I don't know.
God, I'm drawing a blank now, and people are probably yelling through the podcast at us about it. Beef Wellington.
Oh, really? That's his famous thing?
I guess he does it like his costs $100. Like if you want his beef Wellington, it's like $100. Is there anything that you, from any chef or anything that you're like, man, I'd like to try that?
Oh,
how much is his beef Wellington? Let me see if I'm right.
The things that stick out to me are like barbecue places down in Texas that I want to go. Franklin's. I mean, I've never been to Franklin's barbecue. And there's a place called Snow's that was featured on a Netflix series actually. But Snow's had won top barbecue in Texas like so many years running. They took the title away from Franklin actually, I believe.
Really?
And and it's this woman, I think her name is Tootsie. And she's 70s or 80s, and she's been doing barbecue forever. And just like recently, like within the past 10 years, got discovered and went in to make barbecue at this place called Snow's, which is outside of Austin, I think by an hour, maybe 2 hours. And it's just supposed to be really phenomenal. Good. Yeah. Like it's one of those, it was almost like a roadside attraction. And then it got so popular that they made it like an event kind of thing. As you're waiting, there's stuff going on. They'll have live music. You have a couple beers, stuff like that.
All right. So Gordon Ramsay's steak menu. Lobster Wellington. Lobster Wellington is $70, obviously because it's a lobster.
Yeah.
Roasted beef Wellington ranges from $57 to $101. So that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
But then underneath, Google had what is Gordon Ramsay's most expensive dish?
Yeah.
So I had to hit it. The title of most expensive pizza on earth was for some time held by celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay, whose 2,000 beast of a pie was topped with a mountain of North Sea lobster.
I don't like lobster.
Really? You're not a fan of
Don't.
that? Do you like
No.
crab or do you like any seafood?
I do. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I've had different types of fish that I've really liked. I like crab. Like, no, yeah, I like crab. I like shrimp.
So why don't you
But
like lobster?
I don't know. I mean, I've tried it so many different times.
Not even lobster mac and cheese?
No,
No?
nope. I don't do the lobster mac. I remember being a kid, and it was a big deal that like we went to Red Lobster, and it was
Yeah.
because it was a big deal. I mean, we didn't again, kind of like this other
Look,
place.
I'm going to be honest. It's a big deal when I go now. I
I
love that fucking place.
for some, I mean, I've been there before. I'm like, it's fast food, fast-ish food, seafood.
Yes,
but
absolutely. It's not the best place to go for seafood, but there's something about it, man. I don't know
well,
if it's the
I'll
sugar
go
they
for like
add
their
or
shrimp. You know, when they do shrimp fest, and it's, yeah, just keep it coming.
yeah.
But I remember like mom and dad took me out. I think it was their anniversary, but they couldn't find anybody to watch my brother and I. So they're like, okay, let's just bring the kids. And we're sitting at Red Lobster. I'm like, can I get like a lobster, like the plate where you got to crack it and everything else?
Oh God, that's too much work.
But they're like, yeah, I guess. I didn't know the amount of work because in the commercials it's just like, and you see it. I was like, this is
it's easy. Yeah.
So then they bring it out, and I take, I don't know, 3 or 4 bites of it, and I'm like, I don't like this.
Oh no.
And I was like, I knew my parents were spending for us a lot of money on me to get this like lobster. My brother got one too. He loved it. He was getting after it, and I was just like, my mom eventually, she's like, you're not. I mean, because I ate around it, I ate everything else, and mom's like, you're not eating any more of your lobster. I was like, no. She's like, don't you like it? I'm like, no. And so it was fine. Mom and dad, they're like, well, that's not going to waste. And I'm like, no, please.
Oh,
take
of course
it.
not. Yeah.
But and then I grew up and I was an adult, and we were at the cottage, that place that I took you a couple times, you and our son.
Okay. Yeah.
And mom and dad are like, we got lobster tails. And I'm like, oh, cool. I haven't had lobster since I didn't eat it when we went to Red Lobster. And she's like, she's like, this will be better. This will be better. Okay.
No, not your thing. Huh?
And I sat down, and it was a giant fish boil. Like, so the fish was great, the potatoes were great, and I get to the lobster tail, and I'm like, and I'm like, well, maybe I just need more butter on it. So I'm like just drowning this thing.
That didn't work either.
No. And I'm like, Mom.
Wow.
I'm like, Mom, you want what's left of my lobster tail? She's like, you don't like it? I'm like, evidently not. I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just the weird one, but
Interesting.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anybody out there listening to us that like is, you guys got to try this. You guys got to try that. You guys got to. Greg is pretty open to trying anything once, right?
Oh yeah,
Food-wise?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
So let us know. We would love to check it out, or if there's any of those hidden gems in the northern Illinois. Where are you? Or like, what's Watertown considered?
Well, southeast Wisconsin.
Okay, or the southeast Wisconsin. If
Well,
there's any of those cool little places out there that
Yep.
we should go check out, please let us know. We love that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Hey, man. I sent something to you last week, but from what we talked about offline, you were probably a little more busy nowadays. So I don't know if you got to it. Did you check out that little, I think it was like a 5-6 minute thing about the Xmen?
yes, I did.
Okay. What do you
because
think
you
about-
specifically said, I think I want to talk about this. I'm like,
Yeah.
I better make sure and watch it.
Yeah. First off, I didn't know this was the new direction of the X-Men. I'm about 3 years behind.
Right. Yeah, and they've been, and I watch videos like that just to try to keep up on the
Mhm.
X-Men. And this is the X-Men we're talking about strictly in the comic world, the Six
Yeah.
Senses.
Yes.
And it is, they're trying to make it where you can just start reading. Like
Yeah.
you can, but they've done so much in terms of like is it this version of the X-Men? Is it this version? Like looking at different characters. I mean, it is still so convoluted that I don't think I could just jump in and read the X-Men now.
Do you know what I think you're turning into? And it's nobody's fault. It's not a bad thing.
I'm an old nerd, and
Yeah.
I've seen too much.
Yeah. And I think it's almost, I don't even think you think of this in your head like it, that I think it feels like it's an assault on what made you happy as a child.
I understand growth. I understand change. I understand.
Of course you do. Yeah.
I mean, they've I mean, with the X-Men, you take it back to what it was, and the video did a great job of like, hey, the original X-Men story was actually an allegory for the civil rights movement because the mutants were fighting for their rights, and that's what Kirby and Lee wanted to create.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool. Like
at its base.
Yeah.
That's
and I read the original, not the original, but I mean, I remember reading it was called Claremont. It was called X-Men Classics, which were reprints of the stuff that he did.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
And reading all those classic storylines, and it flowed together. It was good. And even when Jim Lee rebooted the series, sometime in the 90s. And it was one of those mega. We've got 6 different covers. They came in poly bags. You did that, and I was into that for a while too. But that was also written by Chris Claremont, who is wordy as fuck. So like all the great Jim Lee art was just getting covered up with these gigantic word balloons of Chris Claremont. But it was good. It was fine, and I followed that for a while, and I think I fell off. I have all like the Age of Ultron trades that they did.
Wait, Ultron or Apocalypse?
I'm sorry, Age of Apocalypse. Yeah.
Okay.
Age of Apocalypse, and there's so much in there, and I'm like, it was the first time I think as a comic fan I felt bogged down.
Okay.
Like trying to follow that entire line through all the different X books, and I was like, wow, I had like buyer's fatigue.
I get it.
Trying to do
that can happen. I think they're doing that with something like the King of Black right now or something like that, where it stretches across so many different titles that you don't know where to look, and you don't know where to start, and you don't know how to keep up with it. So I get that. I'm just talking about the idea, taking that idea. I think that is the best way to introduce the X-Men into this Marvel universe, because Greg, I don't think there's anybody that doesn't know who the X-Men are from the other movies.
Can you describe what the idea is so the people?
Yes. So the idea is, and I think it's creative, and I get excited about this stuff, so that's why we're talking about it. Moira McTaggart.
Mm-hmm.
Moira
Okay. McTaggart.
Now, in all the previous X-Men things since 2019, she was just a regular human who kind of made it her life to study mutants. And so her and Charles would either have an on again, off again romance, whatever.
Correct.
Come to find out, though, what she's always had was a mutant power of regeneration. And I think this is one of the coolest and at the same time maddening powers you can probably have.
Right.
When she dies, she gets reincarnated. So it's almost like, for her, it's like Groundhog Day. She goes all the way back to the womb and starts again, but she has every memory of her past life. Life. So she doesn't go back in time to like medieval days or anything like that. She goes back to her lifetime of when she was born. So it's her same birth date. It's the same way she was probably raised. She's just fully aware at the age of 1 while she's getting changed. Like, shit, like, hurry this up. Like, I got stuff to accomplish. But anyway.
Right.
So by the time she's gone through about, I think it's 10 lives, and each life ends up with the mutant race losing.
Right. So
getting wiped out.
So all those different story arcs in the X-Men, Age of Ultron, Extinction Agenda. I mean, all those big giant crossovers that have happened.
Yes.
They're saying is Moira McTaggart, like she's doing things differently, but it all comes back to trying to avoid the Claremont storyline of Days of Future Past, where the Sentinels have wiped out the entire mutant race.
Correct.
And like in the process of wiping them out, like mankind is pretty much enslaved to a machine.
Correct.
Masters.
It's basically the machine's taken over.
Yeah.
All right.
And she's constantly trying to fight that future, and she's losing every time.
Yeah. So she's gone to Xavier to do the peaceful way. When that didn't work, she went to Magneto to do the we're just taking over and there's nothing you can do about it way. Yep. Then she went to, I think she was the wife of Apocalypse and said, strongest of the fittest, let's go this way. It all ends up to being dead.
Yeah.
So this time she meets up with him, with Charles Xavier, and she says, Charles, basically read my mind. And he reads the last 10 lifetimes she's lived.
Mm-hmm.
So he's seen everything, and he realizes, holy shit, my way doesn't work. Nobody's way doesn't work.
Yeah,
maybe the only
way doesn't work.
Yeah, maybe the only way we can get this to work is if we all work together.
Right.
Which I think it's a brave way to set this thing forward.
Right.
So what they do is, I'm sorry, go ahead, Greg.
Well, I was gonna say, so then you got the mutant race banning like Apocalypse, Magneto, Charles Xavier,
Mr. Sinister.
Yeah, Mr. Sinister. They all make this like mutant council.
Yes.
Like a ruling council to try to figure out the best way to move forward.
They live on this island called Krakoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is a living island. It's an actual mutant. It's and they provide these flowers that gives you transportation, like teleportation to different places. It provides drugs for humankind so that they have kind of like a, hey, if you do this, we'll take all this away type of thing.
Yeah,
so basically what they're doing is they're creating an entire culture, an entire a different language, a different everything happens like if a mutant does a crime,
mm-hmm.
they come and get that mutant and they hold jurisdiction. So that mutant has basically, what's that thing, that diplomatic immunity?
Yes.
Yes. And I just thought that's probably the freshest, best way you could introduce that now.
Do you think it would work?
I'm sorry. Now you're talking about for the MCU, to introduce them into the MCU. And I remember you telling me that the people never buy because Charles needs to be in a chair and Magneto needs to be the bad guy.
Right.
First off, we don't know if Magneto is eventually going to be a bad guy, and we don't know if Apocalypse is going to go his own way and all that. You know what I mean? But this kind of turns into this Game of Thrones stabbing each other in the back, making chess pieces move back and forth. I don't know if I'm caught up with the freshness of it that got me excited, but I thought, because this is who I am, guys. It always made me wonder, how are they going to introduce the mutants? How are they going to introduce that now into the MCU? How is that going to happen? And how are they going to introduce the Fantastic Four? Well, not that this solves the Fantastic Four problem, but this could solve, without a doubt, the mutant problem. They could even incorporate the other movies.
And here's the rub, and it has nothing to do with any kind of story elements. It has nothing to do with the previous X-Men films. Well, I guess it kind of does. Excuse me. It comes down to contracts and property rights, because I believe while Sony has given up certain rights back to Disney, Sony still owns the rights to the word mutants.
No, they don't.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, because Sony's with the Spider-Man universe. They are not with the 20th Century Fox. 20th Century Fox had the mutants.
Oh, then is Fox still? Maybe it's Fox that still owns the right to mutants. Then
it doesn't matter if they own it. Disney owns them.
Oh, that's right, they do.
Yeah, so that's all gone.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that's tricky is Spider-Man and the Hulk. The Hulk can't be in a
standalone.
He cannot.
Movie?
Yeah, he cannot be in a standalone movie.
That's
yeah.
Well, Okay, because I know that was kind of a blocker for a while, is they couldn't use
Yes,
mutants because, and that's where it looked like
They were doing the Inhuman thing.
the Inhumans, yeah, like it
Yeah.
was gonna be you were an Inhuman, you weren't a mutant.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how you bring them in. I really thought, and I still think, like the whole multiverse thing is going to be their entrance into the MCU.
And very well could. I mean, with Doctor Strange, with Wanda, what they could open up,
Right.
you know.
I just read a headline, and it's from a pretty reliable source, that Marvel was talking with Sam Raimi and Toby Maguire to do another Spider-Man film.
I hate that idea. I do. I don't think, and I'm with your daughter on this. Tom
Yeah.
Holland's Spider-Man.
I'm not fond of it, depending on how it works out. If they wanted to do like an aged Spider-Man, almost like a Dark Knight Returns type Spider-Man, maybe. But I mean, Sam Raimi is very touch and go on a lot of his films for me.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So we'll see.
Yeah. When I heard Sam Raimi's doing Doctor Strange 2, I wasn't happy about that.
Yeah.
Did you know that or no?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Doctor Strange, he was always in my peripheral vision as a comic book fan, but I never got into his stuff. As soon as I saw this movie, I dug that character. I liked it. And I loved him in Infinity War. And I was excited to see. I was hoping he'd be there for WandaVision, and I just don't want them to screw him up, because I know they originally had the plan for Black Panther to be the new leader of everything going forward, and then he passed away.
Right.
So I think they're giving it to either Doctor Strange, or maybe this is going to be how Spider-Man grows into the role. I don't know, but like you said too, like it could be Reed. Reed just takes over.
Yeah. Everybody's looking to see who's going to replace Iron Man for that lead. And I wonder if we're looking at it the wrong way.
Or the big three.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Thor's still Thor.
Right.
But who's going to be the other Avengers leaders, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. And okay, so how are we looking at it the wrong way? That's interesting.
Well, I think, I mean, if we're really looking to like who's going to head, or who's going to lead the MCU, I don't know if we're looking at it the right way. I mean, I think you take it back to making individual movies, and then somehow you bring it together. I mean, they could do
you bring it together? Because maybe you're right. Maybe we're looking at this wrong.
I don't know.
Maybe there's never going to be what they did for the first 20 movies. Maybe that's never going to happen again.
It might not. I mean, and that's what I've been kind of, I mean, everybody's like, well, how are they going to bring in the Fantastic Four? How are they going to do this? I'm like, maybe they just make a Fantastic Four movie and say, and it doesn't even have to be another big origin story. It can just be, because there was talk of when Tony sold Avengers Tower. Like,
yeah, that it was going to be build.
Yeah, people were alluding to that was the Fantastic Four buying it. Fine, just pick it up there. I mean, just like, yep.
You could, but what I would do, I think the best way to do that is the Fantastic Four were already there. They did some experiment, and they've been missing.
Sure. I mean,
all of a sudden now they reappear because of the snap, or because of whatever Wanda does, or that. I mean, that's a way you can get them in. But then now you're dealing with a guy named Dr. Doom that no one's ever heard of until now.
I think you make
No, I can hear you. You're good. Now I cannot.
There we go. I think you make Dr. Doom like his kingdom somehow annexed what's left of Sokovia. So Latveria has taken over,
Sokovia.
They're the saviors of Sokovia, and that they helped rebuild and make them part of now what is Latveria, and Latveria is like the new Wakanda. You know, they're offering these technological advances due to their great ruler Victor, and then you get into the idea that Victor he's technology and he's magic. So then, I mean, that's how you can bring him in with the Doctor Strange stuff too. But yeah, I again, it's all speculation. It's everybody's trying to figure out, well, how are they going to introduce this character? How are they going to introduce this character?
I've heard
just make him a character. I mean, let's just be like, hey, here's a guy from Canada. He's got knives in his hands.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. I think you're right. I think I overthink it. I know I'm not the only one that overthinks this. I think a lot of people are expecting it to go a certain way simply because we've been trained to look at it only one way, in a sense. We're not looking at it like you said. We're not looking at it from, like, it just seems to me right now they're introducing supernatural, then they're showing you ground level of what's going on the ground level with the Falcon and Winter Soldier, what governments kind of are dealing with right now.
Right.
And I think they're going to go into time, with Loki. And I think you're right. Maybe they're just telling stories right now, and the ones that every story does not need to necessarily connect to the next event.
Correct.
It can just be a story. So I think that's the way it's going to go. I think it's the way it has to go. I mean, they're talking about Secret Invasion being the big thing, but it's a Disney Plus episode, so it wouldn't be a big thing. And
they're going to go the way that makes them the most money. I mean, that's the other piece that a lot of...
Here's the cynic.
It's not cynic. It's just reality. I mean, Disney's going to be like, how can we get the most bang for our buck? I don't think... Okay, yes, you are. I think there's a certain group in Disney that thinks that way. But then there's the guys that have their asses on the line in terms of reputation, like a Kevin Feige, who realizes this empire he built. Right.
Yeah, and he's going to sit there and say, okay, we got to figure out how to get these X-Men in here where it's a cool way.
Well, and I think it's no different than what Jon Favreau has to do with Star Wars and Gareth Edwards, who they're like, we need to do enough fan service to make them happy. We need to divide it up. There's got to be like fan service for the existing fans, something to bring in new fans, and then we got to make sure that the money people are happy. Like, all that has to somehow mix.
Yeah. Yes.
And we're not just talking about the box office take.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Oh, well, and you know this, that, I mean, for the billions or
theme parks and all that shit. Is that what you're talking about?
For the millions, if you're lucky, billions of dollars that can come in from just the film, there are guaranteed billions of dollars in merchandising.
Toys, clothes.
Toys, clothes.
Video games.
Right down to like sippy cups. I mean, that you put a baby version of a character on. I don't think they're going to make a sippy cup of John Walker. And so that's part of the strategy of like, we'll make action figures of him, but I mean, he's not going to be loved enough that they're going to get the billions of merchandising just on him. So it's all that strategy that I think also plays into how are we going to tell this story. So
yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, yes, I know. We don't know. We're not going to solve it tonight. I just thought the going back to originally why we talked about this, I just thought that was a very creative way to, in a sense, throw in all the X-Men movies that Fox has done.
Yeah.
As it's almost a separate timeline that Mora had for her mutant kind.
I think you could work it into what's happening with Loki.
Yeah.
Because
do you think we're going to see Kang the Conqueror there?
There's a lot of talk about that. Like, Kang's going to be the next big bad.
Right. Or they're going to talk about him at least there. Like, we had a guy that used to work here, but he went rogue.
Yeah, it's very possible he's the next big bad because they're getting into a lot of time travel. They're going to be getting into a lot of multi-dimensional kind of stuff, and Kang fits into both of those.
Do you know who they got for him? He's already been cast.
Did he? Did they cast
Yeah,
Kang
yeah.
Conqueror?
Yeah,
No.
they cast him for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yep, I'm telling
Oh,
you.
really?
Yeah,
No, I'm going to look it up right now, though.
yeah. Look it up. You'll be shocked, and at the same time, you'll be like, okay, yeah, I can see
So
that guy.
Is it Ant-Man and the Wasp? It's not-
Quantum Mania or something like that.
Wasp. It's not coming up yet.
Put up Kane the Conqueror actor.
Oh, there we go. Oh, they've got a picture of John Walker for it. That's weird.
It is weird.
Oh, it's just a related title. Okay, but Kang the Conqueror, Jonathan Majors.
You know who he is?
Oh yeah, from
Lovecraft Country.
yeah, Lovecraft Country. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was good.
Yeah, so he's going to be King the Conqueror.
Okay, I could see that they're in the middle of filming. That's good.
Yeah, so
Well, yeah. So I mean, with that, with Kang coming in, gosh, there's a lot of different things that they could bring in.
yeah,
I think, just literally throw it all in such a blender, like,
and see what falls out.
well, through one of these events. I don't know if it would be through a TV show because it's too big of a change. I could
I
see
agree.
it happening in Quantum Mania because it's going to fit. Like something happens, and then all those Fox properties, all those, they
Just all of a sudden appear, poof.
they're there. They're there, and the entire human consciousness of the 616 thinks that they've always been there.
Oh, okay, that's a way.
Like
Or it could almost fit into the whole mutant agenda. I can just see this scene where all of a sudden there is this NATO or there's this World Council meeting. And in walks Xavier with Magneto and Jean Grey or Apocalypse behind him and says, "Hi guys, we just wanted to alert you guys that we're here now, and this is what's going to happen, and like it."
Yeah, like we're here. I mean,
Yes.
they're alluding to the fact that they're creating, like with WandaVision, they created at least one more superhero with Monica Rambeau.
Yes.
And I thought it was a real preview of Captain Marvel 2 that had her featured prominently, and it was not. It was a fan-made thing.
Okay.
But so now we've got superheroes being made kind of through different circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Then with the Flag Smashers, you've got now more super soldiers running around, but you still have oh shoot, can't remember his name. The Captain America experiment, the super soldier experiment on African Americans.
Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah, Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah.
So you've got him, but he's got a bunch of kids and grandkids, and that's been passed down. So there's more enhanced humans. So they're starting to introduce like, oh yeah, there are superpowered beings.
That's a good point.
Living, they're just living amongst us.
Yeah.
That either they're trying to hide it or something, or they can just be made kind of through that cosmic energy blip or whatever they can do. So I could see them.
Or you could almost see that when
happening.
Wanda did that at that one town, she
Yeah.
made mutants.
Yeah, something like that.
Those people are never going to be the same, and they're having kids, and things like that.
I mean, something that happens in either Multiverse of Madness or Quantum Mania or something where like a big blast goes over the entire planet.
Yep.
And everybody that had an X gene, they just weren't active. Well, guess what?
Now they're active. And now we got a bunch of
now
people
we've got a
running
bunch of
around.
mutants. How do we do that?
Yeah.
It's going to be rough when you have characters like Wolverine who, per the Marvel
has always been there.
Has been around since the like or late 1800s.
Right.
How do you explain that?
Him.
So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it, but
you're right. I feel that they're okay. When Fox was being bought out. It was 2019. Like,
Yeah.
look, Feige had to have, maybe Feige had nothing to do with it, but somebody had to sit down with Marvel and say, all right, we kind of put the X-Men on the back burner,
Right.
because of, they were 20th Century Fox property at that time.
Right.
Like and now we got 'em, now we're going to get them back. It's not official yet, but we're going to get them back.
Yeah. How do you do it?
And so I need you guys to reboot the X-Men. And they give it to Jonathan Hickman, who he's a great storyteller. You have to be able to follow him though, because
Right.
like his stories make sense when you finally watch the end. But if you miss one issue, that could be hard.
I think from a business perspective, I think there was a split though between the MCU and Marvel Comics. Like,
Was there? Okay.
yeah, from a very much a business end of things, where for a long time Feige had to answer to the people at Marvel
right.
Comics.
Yeah, some guy that was
like,
a jerk.
Yeah, like Feige would have to go in and say, "Hey, here's what we're gonna do with the movie," and the guy would be like, "No," or he would say, "That's not in line with what we're doing in the comics right now.
Right.
So
yeah.
you need to change up your movie so that the movies would drive the sale of the comics." That was part of the, I think,
Yes.
initial
Yes. I
initial
remember hearing about this
strategy.
now. And then
When Feige was stupidly successful with everything he did, and through the purchase from Disney said, "Yeah, Feige, you do you, and go do your thing, and the comic people will do their thing."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I knew there was a guy, and I want to say his name was like Mustafa, something like
Well,
Muas, something like that. He was always
Yeah.
in the back of Feige's ear, and I think
Right.
when Disney bought it,
Mhm.
they were like, Feige was like, you gotta get rid of this guy.
Not just get rid of him, but you need to let Feige off the chain and let him
Yeah.
do what he, because they're different medias. I mean, they work very differently. There's a different, and now it's created like a separate cultural consciousness.
Yeah, you're right.
You can be a gigantic fan of the MCU
Yeah.
and never read a Marvel comic.
Yeah, you're right. You know what's funny about that? It has become a cultural thing without ever touching a comic book. It's that, especially now with Disney Plus expanding this, right?
Mhm.
I was talking to a kid yesterday at a party, and I was really like digging into like culture, like what does he follow, like what's interesting. He told me he watches a ton of anime,
Yep.
and I asked him, okay, that's cool, like, but then I asked him, like, are people in your high school, are people walking around with Captain America shirts? Are people walking around with, like, do you guys talk about the Disney Plus releases? Because I really want to know, is it the 40-somethings like us that are watching this? Or is it like the young people that are into this as much as we are?
Right.
And he told me, yeah, there's a ton of people. He goes, actually, Star Wars is really big too. He goes, a lot of my friends really like Star Wars. He goes, Marvel's big. He goes, that all that stuff's really big. And so I was really interested in that. But you know what he told me that what I found was most interesting is the lingo they use to describe stuff now.
Okay.
Because I asked him, so I was like, I said, really, no shit? He's like, yeah, no cap. I went, what? I went, what? And he goes, no cap. I'm like, whoa, stop. What is no cap?
What does that mean?
Yeah. Do you know what that means or no?
I believe I do. It's like, no, it's, well, go ahead.
No, it's I'm not lying.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you are lying, then you're capping.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, I don't get some of the new.
We didn't get it either. And I'm thinking, oh my God, we're at that age now. Like, I looked at his mom and his dad, and I said, oh my God, guys, we're at that age. We're at that age where we're like, the kids are like, you guys are lame.
When I taught high school, I was able to keep up.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I'm 5.5 years out of being in that environment. And so there's been a couple of TikTok videos I've watched that it was like a translator. Like literally, it was like, cap means you lying. No cap means I'm not lying. Or sus. That's another one.
Suspect, right?
Yeah.
Suspicious.
My son would go and he's like, yeah, he's totally sus. I'm like, what? And so he's like, sus. Like, are you? And I had to, I'm like, what? What?
Yeah.
What are you saying? What?
Yeah.
Okay. We should almost do. Maybe we'll plan that for next week. We'll get a rundown of the current lingo, and see if we could translate.
You've had. I think that's a great idea. I think you have someone that wants to jump on our podcast.
She
That
does.
would be
Yeah.
perfect episode.
That might be it. Maybe it's time to introduce her to the podcast.
Yeah.
We're talking about my 16-year-old daughter, who actually wants. We've had this discussion. You know, everybody talks about career stuff with their kids, and she has fallen into just devouring novels. And she's like, I might want to be a writer. I'm like, it's a great profession. I think most writers would tell you, find something that will make you money as you write.
Yeah.
That'll make you a living as you write, and then when you hit it as a writer, you can leave that job. I mean, that's
it's funny you said that. We also were talking about that the couple that was also at the party that we were talking about. Hey, it's great to have these ideas, and it's great to have these dreams and wanting to do that. And I'm from the mindset now where I would say to my daughter, great, you want to be a writer? What are you doing? Because you're not the only one that wants to do that in the world.
Right.
So what are you doing to get there?
We've had writers on, and I was on vacation the only time we could get on one of the writers that I tend to follow right now by the name of Jim Butcher.
Yeah.
And he's got he did a podcast with James Marsters for Comic-Con, I think last year. But it was all virtual because they couldn't obviously meet. And his story about writing his first novel was he was in college studying writing. He was in a writing class.
Mm-hmm.
And like his teacher, who was also a published novelist, his professor was like, these are the things you need to do that will get you noticed by publishers and get your book written. And he fought against everything. He's like, no, I don't want to do that. No, that doesn't make sense to me. So he thought, I know better than my professor who had been published. He's like, there's no way any of that's going to work. So to prove her wrong, because he was super talented and people knew that, he's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to follow every one of your rules to the T to show you that sucks.
Right.
So he goes back, writes this story following all of her rules, hands it in. He's like, there, read that piece of shit. And like, she read it. She's like, this is a great story. This will get you published in no time. He's like, no, it won't, because it sucks. Hands it in, and ends up being Stormfront, which is the first novel of the Dresden series.
Oh, okay. So he was wrong.
He was totally wrong.
Oh,
and that's what I know. Like, as my daughter who wants to go in, she wants to go into communications in general. She wants a podcast. She wants to be able to work for a company that produces entertainment, and she wants to be possibly.
You know what she'd be really good at, and maybe she missed the boat on this. Like there is this YouTube channel called Top 10 Nerd. And there is a cosplayer. I've tried to reach out to her to get her on the podcast because she'd just be a fun girl to talk to in terms of just nerding out. You know,
sure.
She's a cosplayer. I forgot her actual name right now. I have it written down. But anyway, she gets up and she goes through the top 10 on YouTube the entire time. Like she goes over like the top 10 reasons Spider-Man has better villains than somebody else, you know, and then she'll go through them. And it's a very popular YouTube channel, but that's something where I could see her doing that, where it's like, hi, I'm Kate. I'm here to talk to you about this. And then she goes through it.
Yep.
But I don't know if by the time she starts really establishing herself in whatever direction she goes, if YouTube's even going to be a thing anymore.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to talk to her about. I'm like, the communication field, I mean, you can do some really cool things in it. And she wants to be almost like a personality. Like, she's like, I think it'd be cool to be on a radio show, to be like a radio.
That was my dream.
And I was like, sure. Yeah. You just, you know, And mine too. I mean, and we've talked about this before on our podcast.
Yeah.
If we would have lined that up earlier, like when we were in
Yes.
college, we would probably have a morning show right now.
We probably would. Yeah.
And it would be one of those things.
Johnny
like,
and the Greg.
yeah. I said, you got to be aware what that's like. I mean, what's radio like now when everybody's streaming everything?
Yeah.
You know, what's it like to be like a DJ or like a morning show host? I mean, how do you make all that work?
And that's what I mean. Like, you gotta. What's your plan? Like,
Yeah.
are you gonna get an internship? Are you gonna serve people coffee and see if this is something you actually truly want to do?
Well, and I told her to go study the career of Ryan Seacrest
There you go.
because he started out as a radio guy, radio personality,
Yep.
and he's made this entire empire out of like just being him.
Yes.
I said, but
Absolutely.
you got to realize that guy works like nonstop.
Yep. Yep.
He's definitely putting in the time to do all the things that he does.
Yeah.
I said, and you got to decide, is that what you want? I mean, because that's the guy at the top of the game. If that's what you want to do to have those results, go ahead. But
yeah, I will never forget. One guy told me, because I said to him, because he was like, "What do you want to do for a living?" And this was back in college, and I said, "I want to be an actor." He goes, "That's awesome. How bad do you want to suffer?"
yeah,
And I said, "What?" And he goes, "How bad do you want to suffer?" Because Greg, I'll be the first to admit, I thought, honest to God, until I hit college, I honestly thought I was the only one in any circle I ever walked into that wanted to do this. Like, I thought I was going to walk to Hollywood, like I was going to graduate high school, graduate college, because I made the promise to my mom about college. That's the only reason I really went to college. Go to high school, walk into Hollywood and go, okay, cool, I'm here. Awesome, Johnny. We've been waiting for you. We have all this shit lined up for you. You know, that's, in the beginning, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. That was my mindset. And I think a lot of people think that too. Like, you're not the only one. Yes, mom thinks you're talented. Yes, your friends laugh at your jokes. But you're not the only one that wants this. And the guy that's going to get it is the guy that's willing to do something you're not willing to do.
right.
And I don't think a lot of people understand that. And especially when you're a kid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think, Kate, you want to do this? Set up a podcast now. Do it now. Do it now. You'll get all of the, what do you call it? You'll get all the stuff that you and I have tripped over, the stuff that we're still learning as we're talking right now.
Yeah.
You'll get all of that out of the way. So the first time a microphone's in your face, it's it's nothing new to you.
Right. There's a part of, but there's still a part of me as a dad that I'm like, I don't want you to do that. Just from like the protective, I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those, like, do you really want to put yourself out there that much right now?
Well, I mean, I guess it would be like, I don't know why it popped in my head, but the first thing she could do is she could just like, I read this novel. This is my review on it.
Yes.
And that's fine. Right.
And that's something we can get into.
Yeah,
it's like
I
think
book
that's
club she could do, or she could sit there and explain why. Hey, I just read this Marvel comics. I didn't like it because of this, or I loved it because of this, or whatever. She could do reviews, but that way she understands editing. She understands, recording and microphone and all the things that you helped me out with this that I still don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up. I just had another friend of mine. We'll probably do a sharecast at some point. He wants to, for the longest time, he was doing like reviews of craft beer. He called himself the beer blogger.
Okay.
And is my friend from high school. And he was just doing it by like setting up his laptop, doing this and then releasing it on, I think, a social media page. Yeah. But he texted me on Friday, I think. And he's like, hey, I want to launch a podcast. He's a listener of our podcast. I'm like, dude, really? Thanks for listening. Says he enjoys our show, but wanted to know, like, what are some of the pitfalls, or how do you get going? And I was like, oh gosh, I still feel like
me too.
We're still getting going. I mean,
yeah.
But I told him, like, well, here's kind of what we discovered. I mean, we didn't even get decent microphones until probably like 3 or 4 months in. I'm like, we gotta up the game. We gotta do that. Things of that nature. Help, saying, find the hosting service, find the, set yourself up on, some promotional sites, get a link tree.
Yeah.
But he wants to do, and he said he's kind of looked around and there's not a lot of podcasts out there doing like focusing on just Wisconsin based sports.
Okay.
Like
So is he talking about high school or is he talking about?
I think he's talking about everything. Like, I mean, we have a couple semi-pro teams for different sports. We got a couple of different baseball teams. I think there's a hockey team.
Who's the armored combat people?
There is the armored combat people. Yes,
Iron Stags.
Iron Stags, the Milwaukee Iron Stags. Absolutely. So he might be doing everything from like talking about the Packers during Packer. I mean, to where's Wisconsin's curling team? Something like that. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to hear what he's got loaded. I mean, he could always talk about like even just going down to high school sports and talking about who are the top prospects. I found out a guy in my church small group. He graduated from a school that it wasn't my very first job, but it was my job 6 months out of college. So I taught at a school for 6 months.
Uh-huh.
Then I went to another school. He graduated that year that I taught at this other high school and was signed by the Badgers. He played all 4 years. So he played 2 years for Alvarez and 2 years for Bielema.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, I would like to talk about that more. He was there with Joe Thomas, like played Joe Thomas. So I'm like, that's cool.
That's very
and now he's I believe an assessor for an insurance company. But
but I talk about the glory days of being a Badger. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, that's cool, man. I mean, what was that like? He said he played strong safety. So
sweet, very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting. We could ask him who's the hardest guy he had to tackle. Yeah, I don't know if that was like during Eddie George years or I don't know.
Well, we could.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I would definitely love to talk to him. So we got some work to do. We got to get a chef on here.
I do want to talk to a chef.
Yeah,
I do, like any. That'd be cool. Maybe I'll take a shot, take a swing. See if we can get Aaron Franklin on.
Just swing. See what happens. Hey, and by the way, swinging, that's something I would give anybody that wants to do a podcast. Don't be afraid to swing. I wrote out to Matthew Riley. I never thought he would remotely return my email, and he did. And for those of you who don't know who Matthew Riley is, it's a great podcast actually. Look at our past podcast. He was a great guest. Mm-hmm. He's actually doing I want to talk to him again. I want to reach out to him, but he's going to be super busy for the next 2 years because I think he's directing a movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with that he wrote in Australia with Hemsworth's wife. I believe her name is like, it's not Ursula, but it's very close to that. Her name's very close to that. It's like it's Elsa.
Elsa?
I think it's Elsa. I forgot her last name. Palaki or something like that.
Hemsworth?
Yeah, no, it's not. But he's doing a movie with her and with another famous actor.
Did you
action movie? So
speaking of Chris Hemsworth, did you watch that video clip I sent you of the women from
It doesn't surprise me.
That is hilarious.
Yeah,
it
doesn't surprise me.
Fawning over him. Did you watch that yet? Did you watch that Ghostbusters movie?
You know what? It's on my queue. Watch it.
Make sure you watch if you can. I don't know what version they got, like the director's cut.
Okay. Do you know what I watched today? And I thought it was excellent. I think you told me it was good. Guns Akimbo.
Oh, Guns Akimbo, yeah, with Harry Potter.
Daniel Radcliffe. He did a very cool job. It's a ridiculous concept, but it worked. And I thought he was going to run around the entire time in those like
with the guns attached to his hands.
No. I thought he was going to run around the entire time in like his bathrobe and his underwear and those big paws that he used for slippers. I thought he was going to do that the entire time because I thought, okay, like how is he going to put on pants? There's no way this guy can do it. Right. So, but I thought that was very good. The entire time I watched it though, Greg, because you and I had a different discussion about who would play Wolverine in the MCU. I cannot see this kid. I know you brought him up, but I cannot see this guy. doing that. I actually can see him playing more Peter Parker.
Did you?
Then-
Okay. Did you watch Horns?
No, I gotta watch that too.
Yeah, that's another one. It's a darker take for
Okay.
him, but I
I'll
think
watch
I don't know.
The
I
other
think
one I want to watch is him and a friend get stranded in the Amazon rainforest, something like that. Yeah, some movie like that. I don't know if it's a good movie. I just want to, and I know it's not a goofy movie. I know it's a very serious movie. It's based on true events, so I want to see him act that way.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So I'm basically watching this movie to see how he can act.
Sure.
You know, the other movie I watched today, which I thought was good. I'm about 5 minutes out from finishing it, but I don't see why anybody had a problem with Dark Phoenix. I didn't see the end though, so
okay.
maybe the end screws it up.
No, it doesn't. I watched it not long ago, like within the last month, and I went in with absolutely zero expectations.
Me too. Me too.
And yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you do the scale of Dark Phoenix in a film that doesn't offer like the Shi'ar Empire at all. You know what I mean? Like from the
Yes.
comics. Like
Yes, no, I know what you mean. I think that's your next event if you're looking for a huge event in Marvel.
well, yeah, I mean, hopefully they touch on it with the new Guardians of the Galaxy because they haven't really yet. But well, they've established the Kree, they have established the Skrulls. Now you do the Shi'ar Empire, and then you'd be like, oh, there's a giant fucking intergalactic war happening. Most people on Earth are totally oblivious to it, and then you bring in Secret Wars. Secret Wars, where they all get transported to
A different planet.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't see a problem with it. I watched it. I was thinking, I don't get it because I agree with you. Like, if you're gonna tell the story of the Phoenix saga, and that's that key word saga, all right, and you're gonna try and contain it in 2 hours, you have to cut out a lot of stuff that happened in there,
Right.
and this is just what happens. And I thought they actually did a better job than the Xmen 3 United We Stand.
Yes, they did a much better job because the Phoenix itself in the latest one is the cosmic force.
Yeah.
The Phoenix force that chose Jean Grey. It's not like some hidden secret personality that she has.
Right.
It is this giant force of nature that was drawn into her. So that right there, I think they got it right. But I think you're right. Like to do Dark Phoenix justice as a saga, it's
gotta be a saga. It's gotta be like,
it's got to be like a 2-3 movie event.
yes, yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. But yeah. So anyway, we went off on a tangent there. But I mean, those are the 3 movies I saw, or the 2 movies I saw this like today because my girls had to go to a shower event, and so
nice.
I had to. Yeah, it was actually awesome. I was by myself
all day long.
Yeah,
It was fantastic.
me and the dog were just hanging out the whole time. He probably got more cuddles and more love than he's had in probably 2 years. So he was a happy camper. I was a happy camper. So it was good. Yeah. All right, man. I think we'll
Yeah,
think
we
we'll
got
have
an
to
hour 30 just with the 2 of us. That's pretty good.
yeah, we actually do that. I didn't think we'd talk about steaks, but we did.
Oh, it's so good.
I bet.
It's so like I literally took the first bite and I was like, oh my God.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God, this is what an orgasm in your mouth feels
yeah,
like.
it was totally that. Crystal looked at me like, are you okay? I'm like, I don't think so.
Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute.
It was.
You guys aren't here right now. I'm in euphoria.
Nope. I was blocking out the rest of the world. It was that good.
Yeah. It's awesome when you get I'm trying to think of I don't think I've had very, very good steaks, but now I want to try the steak you had. But
it kind of made me think of that when we were talking about Gordon Ramsay on the last show.
Yeah.
And you had said one of the things he talks about, like he goes up, he's like to like new recruits or people on the show, he's like, think of the best entree you have ever had. And I've had better.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like,
on a Tuesday.
and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah. So now think about that. That's the best meal you've ever had, right? Hands down.
Yeah. I mean, in recent memory, I can't think of anything that I would put above that. Well, it's like different categories, though.
There are
Some of
different-
the, I mean, the Salt Lake is near and dear to my heart.
like that's the
so
best steak you've ever had in your life.
It
but
is the best.
It's not the
steak,
best burger.
yes.
You know,
No,
it's not
right.
the best chicken sandwich. It's not the best pizza. It's not the best, Chinese food.
Right.
You know, there was a place in Georgia that had the best Chinese food. Ursula and I still talk about it.
Really?
Yeah. And then there is, I think, the best street tacos. There's a place here, best street tacos. I gotta take
really?
you. Yeah, I gotta take you to a brewery. If you're into street tacos, I'll take you there too. It's really good.
There's a
Cool.
place in Austin that we love called Taco Deli. So that's the place to be right
This is Invicto. So shout out if you guys want to throw us tacos for Johnny.
now.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got remember that bar I took you to?
Yeah.
Cellar? Yeah, they are now carrying the mead from the guy that wants to get on the show. The
Is that
colony
picture? Because I saw that on Instagram today. He's like, "Cool, where'd you find it?" He
Yeah.
sent-
Oh,
Instagram,
did he
yeah.
invest it? I haven't even checked today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta write him back then. Yeah,
So
they're
You gotta get
getting
him.
colony mead, but I think it's also Colony Nectar is his like honey company because he harvests. He's a beekeeper, so he's
I'm
harvesting
putting
his own-
honey in my coffee now.
Yeah, I used to put honey in my tea all the time.
That makes sense.
Excuse me.
I tried honey and coffee for the first time, and it's good. I didn't think I would like it, but I thought, I heard there's this YouTube channel I follow where this guy is big into. I think I sent you it with the Steven Seagal. He was interviewing the stuntman
Mhm.
about what really
Yeah.
happened between Steven Seagal and this certain guy.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he's big in the 80s/90s action movies of that decade, and so he does all these movies and all these breakdowns. And one of them was, how did Sylvester Stallone get that ripped?
God.
Yeah, ripped for some movie. Oh, it was
Probably
Rambo
Demo-
3.
Oh, was it? I was like Demolition Man. He
Yeah.
was. He had to be done.
Rambo 3, and they mentioned that during takes, right? He would do like pump out sessions and stuff like
Yeah.
that between takes. And then during like when he would eat, he'd only have huge, I guess, like pancake size oatmeal cookies and
Okay.
coffee with honey. And I thought, how is that like helping you pump out? Like, I don't understand. Like when that, like, I don't know,
Sugars.
had a
I don't
gut?
know.
but I thought honey and black coffee. I wonder if that tastes good.
Hmm.
And I started doing research on it. Like, is that natural? Do people do this? And I guess, yeah, a lot of people do it. I was slow.
Well, it's better than if white sugar.
Yes, way
in
better
your
than sugar.
coffee.
It's actually 100% better than sugar. So for you, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, we'll close this up. So, Greg, any last words?
Stop hating on John Walker so
I
much.
was just gonna
It's-
say, no. I'm cool if you hate John Walker. Don't hate Wyatt Russell.
No, don't hate Wyatt Russell at all. Don't
Yeah.
stop hating on Wyatt. He's an actor who's been paid for a role he's doing, and he's being very successful in
Yes.
that role.
If you
not
hate him that
supposed
much,
to-
he's
yeah,
doing a great job.
he is killing it.
Yes.
So
And for all of you people out there that were mad, for all you people that were mad about the Dark Phoenix, I don't get it. So, all right. For TheGreg, this is Johnny. Podcast out. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Take care.
bye-bye.
And ladies. Had them in there too.